Yes, ma'am.
What's up? It's been a while.
It has. I'm flipping crazy. I got way too much going on, but isn't that the way?
Yes.
Right?
Well, you're a mom of two.
Uh-huh.
First of all, your daughters are so stunning.
They are really pretty. There are days where I'm kind of like, wow, you're super cute.
I look at the photos, I'm like, they're going to be supermodels.
I'm like, maybe we need to make some money off that prettiness someday. Put it in the college fund or something.
You could do it now, you know.
I know. Who's got time for that stuff, right?
So I wanted to talk to you. You were one of the first people on my mind because, well, we've worked together. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you were a mentor to me, and I wanted to be Lauren Rowe. You're awesome. You were
like one of the. You were one of the first interns who came in and said, "I used to watch you in high school." I was like, "Oh, I have now arrived at old time. I'm now an old timer."
I've learned what not to say since then. I apologize.
So basically, the reason I wanted to talk to you is because I think it's incredibly helpful for other women to hear about stories of women that they've only known to be in the media or whatever else it is that they are as this perfectly put together package, and they don't have any. They have these, for example, two beautiful blonde, blue-eyed daughters and a husband, and everything's all together. But it's not. That has not always been the case for you.
No, if you open these doors right now, it is a complete, what show. Like 10 feet from now, right? I never get the laundry done on time. I hate to cook. I'm a terrible cook. Half the time I forget that my kids even need dinner. I'm working 2 different jobs right now. We have a new company, my husband and I, that we bought a year ago. It's a screening company, screenmobile.com. I'll just pitch it right now. And then I just started I just started working for the Orlando Sanford Airport. And all of this, I have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, I literally have no idea what I'm doing. And I can wake up in complete fear some days, like, I got to go on QuickBooks today. And I get sweats, I get panics, right?
Anxiety.
So I really truly can say at this point in my life, I have no idea what I'm doing each day. I went from doing something that, as you know, I pretty much know what to do every day. I very rarely had a hard time making a decision. I kind of knew what we should be covering. I knew how to do the news. I knew how to talk to people. I can get in front of huge groups of people, no problem, never any nervousness. But right now I can wake up in a complete panic at 3 o'clock in the morning and not have any idea what I'm doing. Whether it's the running a business, which of course I've never done, whether it's trying to, organize the marketing and advertising and public relations for an airport, which I've never done.
Right.
I've got a kid who's going into middle school, which I've never done, which is the scariest of all.
Right.
Our daughter has diabetes. That's a constant challenge. So, I had to deal with the healthcare issues this year, and not having, health insurance was hard. And that's something I'd never had to go through before. I had to go through financial constraints, which I never had in my life.
Right.
I woke up in a place where I never had to worry about money until I was, when did I leave TV? 40. 40. How old was I? What am I now? 45? I was 42. I didn't have to worry about money until I was 42 years old, which in itself is kind of embarrassing, to be honest.
Right.
I don't like to admit that to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But when I finally had to start worrying about money, it was like, whoa, there's another thing that I have no idea how to do. And this is coming from someone who's tried to help poor people her whole career. And all of a sudden I'm like, Obamacare, I need help.
I need help.
Yeah, I need help. And I think that's one of the hardest things growing up very independent and in a household where I was raised to be a feminist. You don't ask for help. I'm horrible at asking for help. It is the number one problem that I think people like us have, is asking for help, especially women.
It's a huge debilitating factor in the society that we live in, because now a woman not only has to be the caretaker and the nurturer and all the things that the old school brought in, but now it's everything on top of it. We didn't replace it.
Right.
It's now everything doubly.
I had an eating disorder. I was a bulimic from about the age of 16 to in my 20s. I even struggled with it in my late 20s, even before I moved here, on and off throughout the years. And at first I think it started with body image. I think I probably had some real depression that I was undiagnosed at that time in high school into college. It started off as I remember, this is just, it feels so cliche, but I remember a boyfriend broke up with me, right?
Right.
And
So
it was
you were out of
traumatizing. And then I started to binge and purge. And if people who don't really understand bulimia, they're different. Anorexia and bulimia are very different. But people who don't understand bulimia, you get addicted to the purge. It's not even about the food anymore. You get addicted to the actual release of throwing it all up. And that was me. When I started my freshman year in college, I was throwing up about 7-9 times a day.
Oh.
Yeah, my freshman year. So I did that for a while. I was on the dance team. I was a dancer. I was a choreographer. I traveled around the country choreographing for dance teams. Eventually I was confronted by some sorority sisters of mine and quit the dance team and tried to kind of get into recovery as best I could back then. But then, you just move from one bad behavior onto other bad behaviors in college, and I kind of left it behind, but then moved on to other things. It always came back to haunt me. Even to this day, I really have kind of a love-hate relationship with food and body images, but I really, when you have a disorder for so long, I don't know about you, but you kind of get used to it. Like, you kind of know when you're in it and when you're not in it.
Yep.
And I'm not really in danger anymore when I'm in it, like I used to be when I'm younger. It doesn't mean I don't still have the same patterns. I just put them onto other things in my life. I think there was overall, my whole life, there's just really not a very self-secure personality. I've never been very secure in myself. Not been very, everyone's like, oh, you're so confident and all of those things. But I think I've never been very truly grounded in who I am. So what did I do? I pick a career that takes that already sensitive and unstable kind of personality and completely feeds it and makes it even worse as you grow older, because then the real you completely disappears because you have no real you. You're a public figure. And then you're a public figure whose jobs depend on you being a public figure. I mean, it gets very, very scary after a while. And then when you leave it, you're like, who am I now?
Who am I?
What do I like to do? It's a bizarre thing. I always get amazed at people who have hobbies. Like, they collect things and they get really excited about things. I'm like, that's an interesting emotion. I've never had that one before.
Nor have I.
Right?
Until now.
I know, that's great.
Time.
But that's being in touch with who you are and what makes you happy and filling kind of your dharma. What is your purpose in life? And right now, I'm just kind of a hamster on the wheel like I've always been. My only purpose in life is to try to be a good mother, try to be a good neighbor, try to be a good human. I don't have a lot of causes at the moment. I'm basically just trying to survive. I'm surviving. It's funny, we just said it at the same time.
I mean, that's all
I'm
we're
in
ever trying to
survival
do.
mode. And isn't it sad, though?
It is.
And I don't feel like
more.
that's just women, too. I just feel like the survival mode has become such a human condition for anybody.
It is, absolutely, 100,000%.
It's more complicated for us because we do have, anything that goes wrong, we have to worry about our children. Not that our husbands don't either, but there's so much more on the line, it feels sometimes. But I feel like that survival mode of really just trying to stay above it all and just trying to make the best of things and try to succeed in life. It seems to be everybody's goal, whether you're a man or a woman. We just have a few more
Quirks.
well, and a few more responsibilities.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. We just have more responsibility. I was raised, and I've told this story before, I was raised in my bathroom, and you sit on the toilet. I'm talking a lot about toilets today. We sit on the toilet. There was that, those mirrors that you used to get like at Spencer Gifts or something that had like the screen printing on them? And it said, a woman without a man is like a fish without a bicycle. It's apparently a famous Gloria Steinem quote.
Yes.
Of course, I met Gloria Steinem, and she told me she never said that, so that was a little embarrassing. But anyway, so I grew up with that in my bathroom, like to the point where, like, as I got, went off to college, like half the words had been scratched off or missing because it was in the bathroom. And
in other words, a woman doesn't need a man.
Right, and I really grew up with that philosophy. My role model was my aunt, who was a career woman, one of the first national sales managers for Kimberly-Clark, a major corporation, and you know, I was always going to be a career woman, and I used that as an excuse to say, well, I can marry whoever I want. I mean, I always thought I would get married, but I can do whatever I want. I don't have to worry about, you know, someone taking care of me. Real disservice, though, because then I never expected anybody to take care of me, and I also never really demanded that anybody take care of me as well as I take care of them. So in raising my children, I really want them to see both sides. I will say this, though, and it was very interesting to me, I don't feel that after I left and I had to kind of start all over and try to find my way through careers and making money, I will say that the men in this community were just as helpful, if not more helpful, than the women I know in this community. It was very interesting to me that the men that I knew in this community, you know, people who were, you know, people who run Fortune 500 companies would meet me for lunch and talk about my future, but I couldn't get some women that I'd known to return an email or pick up the phone. That was disheartening to me. That felt I felt like very betrayed by that.
I find sometimes that feminism is only going to be able to succeed and get us all on the same page if women can start being better to each other.
And just being more empathetic and just knowing that it could be you. You're the one who could burn out. You're the one who could be the one who needs a job, or the one who needs to get back on top, or the one who needs help. Now, granted, again, we already talked about this, I don't ask for help very well.
But we're working on it.
But we're working on it. So we'll talk meds after this.
All right. When we turn off the camera.
When we turn off the camera. I'll get your advice.
So much,
You're welcome.
Lauren. Thank you. It's so nice to see you.
You too.